Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, we're going to be painting a rustic old bicycle in a garden. We're going to work all the way through it tonight from start to finish and show you the whole process. I've got my husband, Mark, with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's man in chat for our live show tonight, so if you've got questions, you can ask those. And yeah, let's get started. All right, so I'm starting out with a 9 by 12 inch canvas. I haven't done anything to it. It's just a regular canvas. You can really use any size you'd like. You could also just crop out the front section. I've done another tutorial where you just had like the front of the bicycle, this portion here, you know, from there. So however you'd like to do. I'm going to be tracing on this, so I'll show you how to do that later if you've got one of these traceables. I've already made mine for tonight, so I didn't have to draw it. This is kind of a complicated drawing, and I want to have to draw it fast. You know, we're trying to get through it in one go tonight within a couple hours. So, and it's kind of a complicated painting. So anyhow, I've kind of roughly sketched sort of where I want to put the fence line and the bicycle in just with some regular chalk, but we'll just be painting this as we go tonight. As far as brushes go, I've got a few of my brushes here. These are the Princeton brushes, 6100 series in the long handle here. I've got a few different sizes of bright. It's just a short flat brush. So let me see, that's a 10, 8, and 6, I think. And then a 2 and a 1 round. And then in the red handled VelvetTouch, I've got a 3/8 inch blender, a 3/8 inch angle, a 1 round, and a select Deerfoot Stippler in the 3/8 inch size. So we'll use those tonight, and maybe not all of them, but at least you'll know kind of starting out what we've got. I'll mention them too as I use them. Let's go over our colors. I've got Carbon Black, Burnt Umber, Burnt Sienna, Yellow Oxide, Cadmium Yellow Light, Pyrrole Orange, Quinacridone Magenta, Ultramarine Blue, Cobalt Teal, Phthalo Green Yellow Shade, Green Gold, which is a kind of a optional color if you don't want to have to mix it, and then Unbleached Titanium, Titanium White, and Satin Glazing Liquid. The Cobalt Teal, if you have Phthalo Blue and Phthalo Green, you can mix a color like this with just a little bit of white in those two colors. So that's also kind of a pre-mixed color that you can mix with others if you have it. Green Gold you can mix with like an India Yellow or a Cadmium Yellow and a little touch of green. But it's nice to have it pre-mixed and ready to go. All right, so the first thing I want to do is block in our main colors. Hi, Mark. How are you? Before I start just jumping in.
Hi, Angela. I'm good.
Very good.
Got my allergies.
How's chat? Oh, I know my allergies are bad. I've got a little throat lozenge in my mouth. So if you hear things clicking, it's not my...
It's us dealing with all the pollen.
Exactly. Oh, it's been bad. And how's chat doing? Good?
They're doing good. They're all coming in saying hi.
Yay. Welcome. Hope you guys are doing well, and if you enjoy our channel, you'll subscribe. I think the regulars already have, but we might have a few new people, and we're really glad to have you. We do these live stream shows so you can kind of see the whole process of painting. We're one of the only channels that still does it all live all the time, every Tuesday night. All right. Let's get going here. I still have a little bit of white left. I was trying to decide if I didn't want to wipe it off, but I don't really think I need to mix anything with white right now, so I'm going to have to waste it. Oh, hate doing that, but oh well. Just wipe that off. Okay, so I think I'm going to mix a brown for the cinder block area here, and I don't know that I'm going to make it cinder block. I think I'm just going to make it kind of a brown and then do the blue here. And I do like it being half and half, but you could always put the blue fence or just a cinder block, whichever, either one, you know, whatever kind of background you want to do. So I'm going to get the Burnt Umber. That's my dog. Oh, he's trying to rearrange his bed there. Sorry. You know how they do and like dig. He's digging in his bed back behind me. Fluffing it up. Yep. Needs fluffing. Being very dramatic about it. You're not going to be able to get the sides flat, Fitzy. It's like it's got the round, it's like a donut one, you know. He's trying to flatten it out or maybe fluff up the middle to match the sides. I don't know what he's doing, but... Jeez. Where's side cam when you need it? Yeah. All right, so there's a dark... I added like probably twice as much burnt umber to it so that it's more brown, but it's got a little bit of that blue in it to make it kind of grayed out. So we'll use that as kind of our base and add white to it for this section. And probably use it down here too, and maybe add a little bit of green to it for our greenery. Actually, let me just use what's in my knife here and I'll grab some phthalo green. See how dark we can get this with what's left on my knife. Yeah, pretty good. And with acrylics, as opposed to watercolors we did last week, which was very fun. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. It was a little departure for us. We did a little rabbit and some butterflies, but watercolors you kind of work light. You leave your lights in and you work to dark. With acrylics we do the opposite. We work from midtones and dark tones to light and add your lights on top because you can layer so nicely with acrylics. You don't have to worry about leaving your light bits. It's opaque, so you can cover it. Cover up the under layers. All right. Mark likes
You have to cover up your underlayers.
I was waiting for your comment.
Nobody need to see your underlayers.
Good idea as life imitating art. Or art imitating life. Yeah, right. All right, so I got a green. We're being silly today, sorry.
Just today?
Well, yeah, that's true.
Okay.
That's true. Okay, and then for blue, it's not quite teal. It's kind of actual blue tone. So, but I think I'm going to start with my Cobalt Teal as my base and just add some Ultramarine Blue to it to bring it closer to a true blue. So I'll start with a pretty good amount of that and then add a little bit of the Ultramarine Blue to it. And just try to get kind of a nice neutral blue. This would be the same if you don't have Cobalt Teal, you just add Phthalo Blue to your Ultramarine Blue and you'll get a color similar to this. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Just want a nice basic blue to start with. It's almost like a cerulean blue. That's what it reminds me of. All right, let's get going here. So I've got this green on my little scrubber brush. I'm just gonna scribble that on here at the bottom for now, just to get it off my brush. Might as well use it. Then I'm going to get a larger brush. This is the 10 Bright. And some of this brown that we mixed up. Add a little bit of water. Heavy body acrylics are what I'm using, so they're kind of thick. So you're going to definitely want to add a little bit of water. The glazing liquid is in case you kind of go too fluid with them, then you need to add the glazing liquid to kind of help give it a binder. And you don't have to use glazing liquid necessarily. Really any kind of binder like a matte medium or something like that would work too, just an acrylic medium of some sort, so that you've got something to stick. And you can see why I just went ahead and decided to trace on my bike, because we've got a lot of stuff behind it here that we don't want to have to paint around all these little spokes and things, you know. It's just going to be easier to do this, and then we'll paint our bike. Trace it on and paint it on top. I always want to go back to front with your layers, so let me get a little bit of that unbleached titanium too, and that'll make it more opaque. This color is going on pretty transparently. It's not covering all that well. Okay. There we go. Okay, so that looks good. And
Man, got the wall done, got the bushes done. You are just screaming through this tonight.
the bush is done. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
The
they're
fence-
looking good, aren't they?
The
Yeah.
fence will be done here in a second. That'd be like a 15-minute video tonight.
Let me get some of this green in my black and brown, and I'm just going to feather out this edge. So, and feathering, just kind of flipping my brush back and forth to create a soft kind of blended edge, but the brush strokes can kind of show it's fine. So I'm going to do that, but that kind of gives me a soft edge to work into later. When you do grass, greenery and stuff like that, it's nice to have this kind of softer edge. We'll be putting our blue up to, up against it. That way we won't have a straight line to have to try to blend out. And also because these layers, using the thicker paint, sometimes you can see, especially if you've got a straight line, sometimes you can see that seam when you do your next layer on top. In fact, I think that my line is crooked there. Try to straighten it out a little bit. If you go too thick with your paint, you'll be able to see where you've painted your previous layers, and just trying to avoid that. All right, getting a little bit more just burnt umber here. I'm gonna put some of this kind of side to side on the bottom. I'm really just working it in. This canvas is dry, which I should have wet it down. If you spray it with a little bit of water, it won't fight you as much. This one is just like kind of grabbing the paint and it's not going on super smooth, and that's because it's completely dry. If I'd sprayed it with just a little bit of water, the paint would go on a little bit easier. I just forgot. And at this point, I don't want to spray it because it could lift off some of the paint that's already down. All right, so there we go. We've got some brown. Yep, that looks good. All right, let me clean this out. What are you laughing at?
I mean, if somebody tunes in right now, I go, wow, okay. What is she doing?
What?
I said, if somebody tuned in right now, they'll like,
Yeah.
wow, what is she doing?
Wow, yeah, what is this?
Okay.
She's painting.
It's a hot mess, as we call it in the biz. It will get better.
Yes.
Trust us.
It always looks worse before it looks better. All right, so getting some white here. I'm just going to pull some of that white that was off to the side there. Okay, that looks pretty good. Yeah, I think that looks good. Okay, so I am going to add a little bit of the unbleached titanium. Unbleached titanium has like burnt umber and burnt sienna, or burnt sienna and tiny bit of black and yellow oxide in it with your white. So basically those black and browns, neutral colors in that will neutralize this color so it's not so bubblegum, blue, like baby blue. It'll just kind of make it a little bit more natural looking. So you can see the difference there. It's just a little bit more earthy tone. It's not enough to make it, change the tone too much, but just enough to kind of bring it down a little bit and make it look a little bit better. I am going to spray this because it's driving me crazy. I'm just going to spray that part. As long as I don't touch this part over here, it shouldn't mess with it. Oh my god, much better. The dry canvas just sucks all the moisture out of your paint, so you end up having to reload, you know, with water. It kind of just pulls all the moisture out of your brush every time you touch it. So, and right here where I'm touching down to the greenery, I'm just going to kind of pull down and try to get a soft-ish layer there over it like I did with the green before. And I'm just, to get that, I'm just flicking it. I'm not pulling down and lifting. I'm just turning that brush so that it is losing contact with the canvas and creating that kind of soft broken edge. Mark had a hard time with that when we painted together a while back. That was the tricky for you. I don't know that I was explaining it well enough, or I'm not really sure if it was user error or teacher error.
I don't think it was teacher error.
It's a new technique, or, you know, it might feel weird if you're not used to painting. Alright, so got going on here. Just keeping on filling in this section. And I'm bringing it down a little bit past where I know I'm going to do my greenery. You can see where kind of my greenery line is. Because there are a few little pockets where that blue is kind of peeking through. So I want to go down to where I know my fence ends with this, or at least close to. And if it's not covering and you want it to, then you can add a little white. I'm just adding a little bit of white because I had my green pretty high there in some places. And I noticed that it was peeking through, so I want to be sure that I can paint my greenery in and have it not, you know, have that fence peeking through underneath. Okay. Now here is where I might want to use a little tape. Where's my tape? Oh, got it out already. This will just make it easier to get a straight line, clean line on my fence edge here. Put it like right about here, I think. Somewhere like that. And if you have a canvas panel, do not tape it to the back side because it will tear off the paper. I'm just guessing that that would happen. I've never experienced it myself multiple times.
Pro tip.
I heard it from a friend. No, it's not fun. You end up with a torn back paper, you know, this stuff tears. What were you saying, Hannah?
Oh, I was just agreeing with you.
Yeah.
We try everything just
Right.
so you
you don't have to. Exactly. So I can just tell you what not to do. Yeah, I have painted for 30, I guess we decided, how long have we been together? 40 years, so we've been married for 37?
It's coming up on 37.
37 years. And I started painting in high school before that, so it's probably been almost 40 years for me. That, gosh, I can't say I've been painting 30 years anymore. I have to start saying 40. That's crazy. I know. But anyhow, yeah, so it's been a while, a long, long time. And I've done all the wrong things, all the mistakes. So this is, you get the benefit of my bad life choices. Here. All right, there we go. Nice. A nice straight line. I tried to keep it straight. I think I got it pretty perpendicular to the ground there. Let me see. Let me use my T-square and see how close we got it. Oh, look at you. We did it. It might be a little bit closer on that end, but we're all right.
It's okay because I'm looking at the picture and the fence
It is crooked in the fence.
isn't perpendicular.
Right, it's leaning out.
It's
Yeah.
leaning back.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a little bit of an angle.
Yeah, I kind of cleaned it up with this. I made it a little bit more perfect than it is in the photo. All right, so now we're just going to kind of do a few like little effects. I think I might make it look kind of like stucco. You could even do a stone wall back here. That would look neat. This is in Phoenix. This is my aunt's property. She said she bought this old bicycle and put it back there, and none of the guys in the family understood what she was doing, but I got it immediately. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. She's like, why would you put an old bicycle in the backyard? We ladies get it. It's pretty cool. I want one now.
I was thinking an old lawnmower back there. You just yell at me.
Exactly. I know.
What are you doing?
Not as artistic, no.
Can be. Oh, I need to put a wooden fence next to it, I guess.
If you add some flowers, maybe. I don't know. All right, so I'm just kind of pulling in from that burnt umber mixture that I had. I don't really have any left of it, so I'm just going to add burnt umber and the unbleached titanium here with my large brush again. And I mean, again, you can do the cinder blocks if you want to do the cinder blocks. I would just, use this brush and kind of do them and maybe leave a little bit of the dark in between. But I think I'm just going to kind of pull down. I like the look of kind of stucco, so I think I'm just going to kind of try to lightly, very lightly, and leave a little bit of dark here because there's going to be a shadow where that wall comes out. But just lay your brush flat. I don't have a lot of paint on there. You can see it's not like globbed on with paint. And just kind of pull it down. You could use a credit card. You've seen me do that maybe if you watched some of my other videos, or did the wood the other day, and we used an old brush and did it with like a more scruffy brush. So, but this dry brushing works pretty well with whatever brush you use, as long as you don't have a lot of paint on your brush and you're just letting the canvas texture, which this canvas doesn't have a ton of texture, so it's going on fairly smoothly. But if you have a really textured canvas, this works really well. And just let the canvas pull the paint off your brush. Don't push down on it. Just kind of skim it down. All right, there we go. So I'll get another tone, so you maybe get a little bit more yellow this time. Maybe go a little bit. Just a slightly different tone. You can go in with a little bit thicker paint in places. So if I scoop up a little bit more on the edge of my brush, I'll get a little thicker dollop where I start. Getting a lot of my canvas texture must be running that way because I'm getting a lot of lines going that way. Let's try to pull it this way and see if I can get it. Getting a little bit of water just to help it flow off. I don't need a lot of water for this technique. I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit of that texture back there so that it shows up. and then I'm going to get just the unbleached titanium with mostly just unbleached titanium. And this time I'm going to be really kind of spare with it and maybe create some little pockets and try to leave a little bit of dark here and there. Finding it easier on this canvas to go this way. It's just wanting to make lines on me in the other direction. I'm going a little thicker with my paint on my brush there. You can see it's kind of globbed on a little bit more, but I'm really barely touching it. That way it'll go on kind of thick, sort of like we did some of the rocks a couple weeks ago. Or you might do mountain, you know, like I can't remember which one we did. I think it was rocks. Might have been the mountain. But I've used this technique before in other videos. So it just kind of looks like a stucco wall. Got it a little thick right there. You can see like it went on like really thick in that place, so we'll probably have to go over it with another color. This is just one way of doing it. I don't know. I just kind of wanted to jazz up that wall so it wasn't just cinder blocks. Make it look a little fancier. Okay, now I'm just kind of going through with sort of wet, watered down paint and sort of blending out some of these harder edges where I'm seeing like lines and things that I don't want. I might be able to leave that section, we'll see. Let me get this done, what we think. I'm just going to dry brush along that dark edge there a little bit so it's got a little texture back there. And then what we can do is kind of glaze over this and blend everything out. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I think that'll look good behind our rustic bike too. It's kind of got that rustic feel. I'm going to get a little bit smaller brush now. And let's see, got some paint over it. Uh-oh. Just wiped it off. Ooh.
It's coming sideways now.
All right, so I'm gonna get some white and add it to this blue. I don't have any of the blue left, so hoping this will survive. Add a little water, maybe a little glaze to it. And I'm going to make vertical lines, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and use my tool here. That way these will go for sure straight all the way down. And just go a little bit lighter and drag it, and then I'll leave a little space in between for dark. Okay, so you just pick the width of your brush for the slats, so however wide you want your slats, that's pretty much how big your brush should be. Okay. And then again, just kind of going just to one side of that so that when I come down, got a little bit of a dark line there. I'm sorry, I'm just eyeballing it, so I don't know what the measurement is. It looks like it's about a 1/2 inch, maybe. Okay. Being awfully quiet tonight. How are you doing, hon?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing good.
I was looking up some bike facts.
Oh, yeah? What about them?
Well, they estimate that there's over 1 billion of them in the world,
Well,
which seems low since there's another fact that they say that there's about 100 million made each year.
that does seem low. Especially how many billion people are on the earth. Although we don't have one anymore, so I guess.
True. I mean, Nancy has one.
That we know of. She might
We
have
know
more in
her.
the garage
This is true.
for the grandkids. I know families that have multiple bikes for every person.
Well, we have one.
I think my brother probably has 3 at least, just for him. Mountain bikes, competitively. What were we saying?
No, I was trying to think if we had one for.
I think we gave ours away.
Yeah, we did. We didn't ride it. We're not in a bike riding friendly area.
No, we're not. Definitely not. Okay, there we go. I ended up with a little piece of one there, but that's all right. All right, I'm probably going to need you to dry that for me because I've got some thick layers on here and I can't do any of this down here until that's dry. Thank you. Their new one is in there. Yeah, I got a marked new hairdryer since our son Spencer moved out and took his with it. That was his hairdryer that he would use. And I needed him to dry stuff. All right, so I'm just gonna take off all this since it's all dry now, and we will mix some more colors. This is a glass palette. I get asked about it a lot. It's glass, and then I just have a regular little glass cutter. It's like a razor blade cutter that I'm using to scrape the paint off. It makes it really handy to use it. I'm going to spray my paints with water, and I don't add anything to my water or my paints to help them, not dry out. If you live in a really humid area, you might look into getting one of those stay wet palettes. I don't particularly like them, but I know a lot of people that do. So you can make your own by just using wet paper towels in like a little cookie sheet or a little plastic tray. You lay down wet paper towels, and then you put like parchment paper over the top and spray it with water, and it kind of soaks down in and it keeps the paints wet while you're working and helps them not dry out as fast. So if you're living in a really humid area, or not non-humid area, I should say, a really dry climate like the desert, then you might need to do that because.
Come back.
Thank you.
Did you miss me?
I did. All right. So let's go ahead and finish this and then this, because this is behind this. All right, so I'm going to use this brush, and I'm going to paint with just the corner of it. We get some of that dark brown, maybe a little bit of black.
Yeah, real quick, where did you get that D-square?
You know, I think I just got it at Walmart or something. It's a Westcott, so it's just a real cheap plastic one. Might have gotten it in Amazon because I have another one up here too. I get most things from Amazon like everybody else. All right. Although it's changed. All right, going down along that edge, you can see how it kind of blended out because I just kind of brushed through. This is called floating. I'm going to fly here. Where there's a little bit of paint here, but not a lot of paint on this side, and it's fully dark over here, so that when I lay it down, I'm getting solid coverage right up against the edge, and then it's blending out for me automatically so that I don't have to blend out this line. And also I can see my texture underneath there where it's thinned out. So it makes it really nice. Okay, do that, and then I'm going to do it down low where my bicycle is. There's a lot of dark down here now. I'm not worried about it being right along the edge here, so I'm just going to kind of flip it back and forth like I did before and blend that out. Okay, looks good. A little bit darker in that corner maybe. There we go, like that. And then my bicycle tire is going to be like right here, so I'm going to kind of guess where that goes and darken up around it. Let's see. It's going to go kind of like that, so it's going to be like right in there, yeah. And then the bicycle, this part here. It's just kind of laying in a few pre-shadows so I don't have to worry about it later. And if they're not exact, it'll be good enough, it's fine. I'm just trying to kind of soften off the edges so there's no hard edges to worry about later. I'm getting some more of that dark burnt umber, and I'm going to darken up my corners and edge just a little bit. Yeah, that looks good. All right, so now we've got a nice little good, it's kind of mid-tone, I think. Falling in here somewhere like that. 4. Not too dark, because I want to have the dark bicycle tire be dark against it, but then the bicycle itself is light, so I have to have something kind of mid-tone so that it pops out against it. On this, that bicycle is kind of disappears against this color, so I might darken this up a little bit, especially like behind the bicycle, so that it shows a little bit better than it does in the photo. All right, I think that's good. Let me go ahead and get some of the dark blue. I need to have about an hour to work on the bicycle, so I'm trying to get this all done before as quickly as I can. All right, so mixing up some more of that blue, and then I'm going to add some burnt umber to it. I got some burnt sienna too. That's all right. It's not going to hurt anything. Get a little bit more of the blue. All right, so this will be our shadow color for our door, or gate, I guess. Fence, whatever. And go ahead and, let me think. I think I'll go ahead and use my mid-size flat. So a little bit, it's actually like almost perfectly the width of those slats with the dark part included. All right, and so I'm gonna start by creating a line down each of these, and I think actually I'm gonna go a little bit darker than this. We'll see how it looks, but I might go a little bit darker than this even. And I'm gonna load my brush with this dark blue, and I'm gonna hold it right on the edge, and I'm gonna try to place my ruler just right so that when I press my brush flat here and get a straight line out of the brush, I can set it right up against my ruler and pull down. Ooh, that was a little too juicy. You can see how it kind of went out underneath it. So get some paper towel, wipe that off. I may have to switch to a smaller brush or just not add as much water to my paint.
Don't want it juicy, huh?
No. Not when you're trying to do stenciling or any kind of, thing like this where you're using the ruler to help, because you don't want it to seep up underneath it. If it's too wet, it just seeps right underneath. All right, so I'm going to use a little thicker paint here. Let's see if that does better for me. Yeah, that's better. Okay, woo. Careful, it's on my ruler now. Okay, and I haven't reloaded my brush at all. I got a little bit of mess there, but I'll fix it.
Okay, so what year do you think the first bicycle was invented?
Was invented? Well, I know they started at the turn of the century, right? Or like late 1800s, early 1900s. Like, so I will say 1880.
1880. Okay.
Oh no.
That's
Too early? Too late? Too late?
Too late.
Okay.
The term bicycle was coined in the 1860s
1860s, okay.
in France, but
Okay.
that's the term bicycle.
Mm-hmm.
The first bicycle, the Loft machine, or Draisine, Draisine, was invented in 1817.
1870. Wow, so way earlier than I thought. Well, yeah, that makes sense because I think I've seen women in like full-on dresses and hat and everything so that makes sense.
The longest bicycle, and I think Nancy should have this in her backyard, was built to seat 35 people.
Whoa.
It was 67 feet long. But she should just have that leaning up against
Yeah.
the back
Right.
fence.
No problem. Yeah, there's plenty of room. Okay, I'm just kind of doing the same with that dark that I did with the light color here and creating dark. And I haven't reloaded my brush here. It doesn't have very much left in it at all. Just trying to kind of create some dark weathered patches on this fence. also change the value just a little bit to make it a little bit darker overall. Okay, that looks pretty good. Getting some realism started. I think we're ready for our traceable. And
so a half hour ago, it looked like something I did. And now it's looking much better.
much better, much better. All right, so the one thing I don't like is that I've got like a straight line here. It looks a little too like perfect. So I'm gonna try to pull that color out a little bit into that corner. So I'm just gonna get a little bit more of that burnt umber and a tiny bit of black. And I'm gonna darken up this whole section right here. Just a little bit more. Just kind of make a little bit of a triangle through there. Okay, that's better. Just kind of like it, almost like it's cast in a shadow here. And then I'm going to use this brown on this too. Wipe most of it out, but you have a little bit of this brown and just kind of use it to sort of weather this board in some places. I'll kind of pull that color over here and give it, yeah, a little bit more patina on it. And then I do want to shadow behind where that bicycle is, so I'm going to get some burnt I'm just going to work that blue into that burnt umber, get a little glaze, and I'm going to darken up this whole bottom section here that's behind where my plants are going to be. It's all shadowy and dark. Not super dark because it was, you know, full sun, but it was kind of in a little shaded corner, so. And there's definitely some dark bits back here behind the bicycle at the bottom. Okay. That looks good. I might even have to do it again, we'll see. We can get some burnt sienna, yellow oxide, burnt umber, and some unbleached titanium here, and just do some of these little wood chips at the bottom here, that mulchy bits. Just tapping, creating a little variety with what's going on at the bottom there. Need to remember to keep my painting flat so Ben can use this. He's gonna have a hard time tonight. When he does the shorts, he has to not only cut the sides out of the video, but then if I'm turning it and stuff, it makes it hard to keep things in focus. You know, those little tiny, like, you know, 1 minute shorts that we put on our video. It takes him a lot longer, a lot of work to get those done, especially when I make it hard on him like this and do weird stuff with the video. Don't just leave it in one space. Better him than me, though, you know. God bless him. He's good at it. He's fast. It would take me forever. He knows all the tricks. Video editor. That's why we do live streams, so I don't have to edit anything.
The truth comes out.
Yes, exactly.
And
All right.
100% agree.
Yes. All right, so there's some dirt. We're probably going to cover most of this with greenery, but at least it'll be underneath there and ready to go. All right. I just need you to hit that with a hairdryer one more time, honey, just to make sure it's fully dry before I do my traceable on it. Now, I'm going to be using a product called Transfer Paper for this. I need to wipe my ruler off here. It is, it's also called graphite paper. Transfer paper is wax free, so it's not like copy paper that we used, you know, when I was growing up, typing, you know. It's not that stuff because that stuff is like waxy and really hard to get off. This is water soluble, so if you draw, now it's not fully water soluble, I will say that. It will kind of like dye a little bit where it's put, so you can kind of wipe it off, but if you're doing it on like a white background and you want it to be fully, you know, dissolvable, it may not do a great job with that. Any transfer paper is going to kind of show a little bit. One trick with transfer paper that you can use is bleach wipes, you know, those Clorox bleach wipes. That will wipe off your transfer paper and graphite paper, especially, or pencil lines. So we're going to use this, make sure we've got, this one has been used a lot, you can see, but I actually kind of prefer them when they get fully used like this, because then they're a little bit less likely to make marks where I don't want them to go. This might not be the right color though. This comes with multiple colors. Let me see if one of my lighter colors might do better. I might just use white. That might be better. Sometimes I find the white is hard to see. Red is usually like too hard to get off, like I don't, and too hard to cover, so I don't like to use it unless I know I'm painting with something red. And black, I don't know, the black is not too bad either. The black, I don't know. I think I'm going to use white. I'll try with white and see if I can get it. Got white, yellow, red, and black and blue. I've got a better white. No, they're both pretty used. Let's see, I can't even tell which side is my graphite side on my white. It's so used up. I'm just gonna have to lay it down and mark or something and see if I can see it. Yeah, that's the side. Okay, so I'm going to lay that down. And then I'm going to, well, usually I put my paper down first, but it doesn't really matter because they're both, I didn't actually trace this. If you want to be able to see through and like see where your lines are and, you know, make sure that you're getting this placed properly, then you can trace this on tracing paper, and then you can see underneath, you know, to what you've painted, and make sure that you're lining it up just right. But we're just gonna wing it. I'm gonna use that mark there as my fence line here. So I'm gonna move it forward just a little bit, probably not go all the way to the edge because it's close enough. All right, so I think that's good. You can tape it down if you want. I don't generally tape it. I just like to hold it with my hand. It's, you know, you can see where I did a bicycle before or something with a circle there. That's funny. All right, so let's go ahead and see what we get here. And you could use a pen too. Some people like to use pen to see where they've marked. So maybe I'll do that. Use like a colored pen so you can see where you've marked with it. And I usually go just inside my lines, and that way my my marks here, I can paint over the line completely, and I won't have any of that showing. So I've got some flowers here, some leaves. I'm just going to kind of do the edge of my leaves in my basket. I don't really need to do, hit my finger there. I don't really need to do every little thing. I just want to kind of have an idea of where the edges are. Okay, I'll fill that in later. And if you haven't done this, it probably is a good idea to tape it down just so that it doesn't move. I've kind of trained myself to never move this hand at all. so it doesn't shift the paper at all. But when I first started doing this, I did move sometimes, and it will mess up your drawing if you move halfway through.
Your biggest fan has joined us.
Noah. Hello, Noah. How are you? Little granddaughter. Painting a bicycle tonight. I'm not actually started painting it yet. Not very far. How far? Yeah, we're already an hour in. I'm gonna have to do this bike fast.
You're on schedule. You're okay.
That background took a while.
Noah thinks you can do it.
She thinks I can do it? Okay, good. Noah, you can print out this bicycle and you can draw on it. That is one thing that
She can color.
She can color it. Mm-hmm. Have Mom and Dad print it out for you. She may or may not have gotten some paints in her Easter basket. So. May.
That's so weird.
I know. All right, and then all the rest of that is going to be flowers, so I'll know. Mainly, I mean, this bike was pretty bent up, so I kind of, the tire was flat completely, or mostly completely, you know, so I kind of did, you know, fudge it by making the tire a little bit more plump and stuff. So if it's not perfect, I'm not going to worry about it. But trying to get these lines, I think mostly just the perspective. Doing circles, drawing it by hand can be tricky, so just having it kind of started for me would be nice to have. This front fender was bent over, so I did draw it with it being bent. That was kind of fun. Alright, so there's that. I think that's good. Alright, so everything else kind of just goes down into the greenery. Oh, I didn't do this. Oh, no, I guess that's covered. Okay. Alright.
So you said you didn't get to go to space the other day?
No. Why anybody would want to do that, I have no idea. More power to them. I am staying right where I'm at. No desire. Mark would do it, and you'd do it in a heartbeat. Mark wanted to be an astronaut when we first met.
Yeah.
The heart murmur kind of got in the way of those dreams.
Yeah, I think
Sadly.
that's kind of stupid.
That is, yeah. Seems unfair.
You don't know me.
Huh?
You don't know me.
Yeah, I do not have any desire for that at all. No skydiving for me. No, none of that.
What about robot horseback riding?
That was wild looking. That was pretty. Probably trust that more than a real horse at this point, you know. Maybe. I'll let the technology develop for a few more years before trying to find that out. I'm not going to be the first one to attempt it. You just see how adventure is my middle name here. So, yeah.
So Noah says that her friend's name is Gigi.
Really? Me? I'm her friend?
You're the only Gigi I know.
Nice. Hi, Gigi. Hi, Noah.
Is she your friend too?
Yes, she's my friend. She's my 2-year-old granddaughter. And I've got 2 of them that are 2 right now. They're so cute. Spent the weekend with her cousin Amelia and Liam this weekend. It was really fun. Wish all my kids still lived close by. They're all kind of moved off. I'm trying to talk Mark into moving, but house prices are a lot higher than we anticipated. We were like, yeah, once Spencer graduates college, we're going to move closer. And then it's like all of a sudden all the prices went sky high. So, like, yeah, we may end up staying here for a few more years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's see. We'll just visit as often as we can.
Yeah. Looking for a retirement place.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we've got burnt sienna and burnt umber, and I think I had either white or unbleached titanium on my brush. I'm not sure, but I'm going to kind of use that to base out my bicycle. I think there's some dark areas in the bicycle. Actually, I don't know. I could do it dark and then add the light areas on it. I don't know. It doesn't really seem to matter. It's pretty rusted all over. It's pretty weathered all over. So might just start with this kind of mid-tone and do light and dark on top of this. So let's go ahead and see if we can see this. And I've switched to a 2-round brush. I'm going to get some of this gray for this middle part is kind of a dark gray. Right, yeah, it's working. There's going to be some grasses growing up in front of this, so this won't be visible. But okay, trying to get this brush to. I have to water down my paints with this round brush so that I can get smooth lines here. Water it down, and I'm adding a little bit of glazing medium just so that it sticks well. And this line goes all the way up here. And there's some sort of a area there where the, what is that called?
Chain,
thank you. Yeah.
Like,
but this part, the
it's a guard. It's a chain guard.
But the part where you're pedaling from.
Oh. It's like it's a cog.
It's a gear.
Gear? Yeah, I guess it's a gear.
Gear. Okay. Use the white there to do that. This is going to go down. I kind of put that too far forward. The gear is right here. Because this goes down into the middle of it. Alright. Let me get some white and some unbleached titanium. And a little bit of the blue. The bike has got some blue paint. It's like a powder blue. Just going to kind of try to dry brush on some texture here. Okay, let me see if that, I'm just kind of testing to see if that's the colors that I want to use or not. I think it might work. Okay. Right, so I'm going to go back to the dark color. Put in my fender. And then this part goes in front. Top, connects up to that. And I'll actually need to do the bike spokes, or all the tire part first, and then come back to that. So I'm going to do the unbleached titanium for the inner part of the tire. And some of the rust too, there's a lot of the rusty color, which was the burnt umber and burnt sienna mixture. Okay, so there's the inner rim. Let's go ahead and do this other one over here. It's all on top of that. There must be some greenery coming in front right here because I didn't draw that part in very much. Okay, something like that. And then let's get that kind of blue and white, a little bit of yellow or cobalt teal here. Do the fender. And then do this little part here that's sticking out. Kind of a platform. I'm going to get the black for the tires and add a little bit of my gray to it. Oh, there's a little space there. I was trying to fill that in, but it shouldn't have. If I can wipe that off. Okay. Go ahead and kind of continue it down past where I drew it, just so that in case it shows, got it covered. Got some allergies there, Fitzy. Okay. That's about as much as I'm going to show there because all this is going to be greenery down here. That was one of the nice things about this is we're not going to have to paint in all the tiny little spokes because they're not visible.
So I guess it's called a crank.
Crank? Mm.
Best I can tell from the Googles.
Got it.
I know you were worried about that.
No, it's fine. It's good to know the right name for it. I'll forget probably, but
After looking at like 8 or 10 pictures, that's the most common name.
crank.
So it's
Okay.
like everybody called it something different, I guess.
Yeah. Right. A dry brush, just like we did the fence, just kind of light pressure and let some of that paint streak out onto the canvas. If it's not visible, then add a contrast color, so either lighter or darker, you know, so it's showing up pretty good for me, so I'm not gonna worry about my contrast right now. I think we're doing okay with that. And then I need to go back over the top of the tire right there with this part. And there was some more parts up and over attaching the basket. And the fender. So like that part of the fender is not as visible there, so maybe go a little darker so it's visible. Against that fence. Get a little bit of that burnt umber, and this actually comes down a little bit more than I have it. Give things a little contrast now. This is pretty dark. And there's some things that are kind of attaching and some bits of rust and things, so I'm going to kind of run this burnt umber, burnt sienna now kind of across some of these areas and add distressing marks. To rust up the colors. Again, just kind of barely touching, letting that brush skim across to create these kind of lines and things. Alright, looks good. And this is all going to be covered, so I'm not going to worry about the detail there. Let's go ahead and do our bicycle seat. And I'm going to use Ultramarine Blue with a little bit of burnt umber and black. Just do a nice dark color. Oh, you can see both from that angle. You can't see the other. Never mind, I'm looking at the wrong photo here. I took photos from different angles. So this one is just got that part there. And then seat. And then underneath, I'm going to use just black. It's a little bit darker. Some of that dark color add on that post there, and there's little springs and things, but I don't think I can really get that. Actually, I may be able to take some of that off and just do springs right there. I'm gonna redo that section. I'm gonna get a little bit of white, and I'm going to try to highlight my seat edge just a little bit. A little bit more white. Just blending that in. Kind of light hitting it right there. Right along that edge. Okay, so I'm going to get the black and just do these little loopy lines right here for our little springs. Okay. Right, and then I need to do the handlebars, which are kind of silvery. Just using that light gray. And then our basket is also gray. And then I'm going to use the light blue with that Cobalt Teal and the Ultramarine Blue to do the pot that was inside. What you typing over there?
Words, I think. A lot of
Here you
mistakes.
clicking and clacking around.
Clicking and clacking.
Okay.
We're talking about the picture being from our Phoenix trip,
Yes.
but you did one from our stay in York in your Patreon group, right?
That one was from
York.
the bicycle.
Yeah.
Was from Bordeaux.
Oh, okay. I thought it was York. In
There
front
was
of the
a
flower shop.
that was a painting that I did with acrylics. With
Right.
yeah, from York. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were saying on the trip.
Oh no.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know where that painting is right now.
That was with your Patreon people.
Right, that was the challenge tutorial. Here, I'll show you what we did on our $15 tier. We just finished this one. We were just talking about it last week. I think I showed it. So that's the finished. And I have a traceable with and without the snake. So if you don't like the snake, you can leave it out. But yeah, turned out really fun. I think I'm going to add some more stuff to it too. But that's that $15 tier that we've talked about before. But yeah, we did a painting of a bicycle in York, or from a photo that we took in York a few months ago. All right, so I'm going to use my paper towel and just wipe off all my chalk marks now. Got my bike in here, and I think it's pretty close to being done. And then we'll just add our greenery and stuff to it, and any finishing touches we want to do to it. We'll probably need to add a few more highlights and things, but for the most part I'm pretty happy with it. So for my basket, I think I'm going to switch to my angle brush now so I can get in, kind of create some leafy shapes. And I'm going to use, actually I need to do my lines in my basket first. Then I'll do that. So I'm going to get some white, a little bit of my gray. And do my little basket lines with I've switched to a 1 round here. From the way I can get some fine lines here. I'm going to do like that. Fun. Love it. All right, let's do some little shine on our handlebars and our some bits here. Don't know why I just did that, but getting a little bit of white and just a little bit of my black. Get some gray here. We'll do a few little marks for our spokes. There are a few spokes visible, but they're very wonky. A little bit darker with these ones over here so they can be visible. That one went on way too thick. This actually comes down lower there than that does. Oh well, that's fine. I'm not going to worry about it. All right, greenery. Got a half an hour to finish the greenery and stuff. I think we'll do good. I think we got plenty of time. All right, get a little bit of black and burnt sienna. And maybe a little bit of blue. Ultramarine blue with my green. phthalo green. I'm just going to kind of plop these leaves on here. Using this brush. And these are geraniums, so the leaves are kind of almost like a heart shape, sort of, but fluffy heart shapes. Okay, and I'm going to get some green gold and some white. That in some centers and just some little highlights on a few of these, leaving plenty of the dark showing. And I'm going to use the edge of my brush and kind of pull some lines for my flower stems. Just a few. Clean that out really well. And then I'm going to let that set because I don't want to try to do my flowers on top of that. Right now it'll turn them green. I want a good bright flower. I could do my white though. I can use white. Kind of mark out where I want my flowers in white. That way they'll be bright yellow, bright pink when we put them in. And paint over the top of that white. And okay. Yeah, I put this too high. For some reason this came up higher. This line should have been down here, but it's fine. I just, hopefully when we do our flowers and stuff, it'll kind of help hide it.
Yeah, it'll be fine. Believe it or not, I wasn't fully paying attention to what you were talking about earlier. Are you going to add in the petal?
No, it's not visible in my photo that I'm looking at. We're gonna have greenery all up in here. So.
Okay, so you're gonna cover over that.
Yeah, this whole area is gonna be covered.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, because I just noticed the one
Right.
just above the chain guard. So
Yeah.
I'm sure.
No, not putting it in.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, gonna do a dark green here. Ultramarine blue, phthalo green, tiny bit of black, and there's 3 different kind of plants in my photo that I'm using. It's a little bit different than the photo on the screen. I'm going to put more of this kind of yellow plant in and add some flowers. So there's like a sagey color plant here, and then there's like a low growing shrub here that have these tall kind of tendrils coming up. So I'm going to do those over here with kind of this mid green. Any problem areas, if there's an area on your bike that you don't like, or you got your spokes too thick in one place or whatever, this is the magic time where you can just use this to cover it up. So the beautiful thing about painting, you can create your own world and you can fix your mistakes really easily just by and some flowers or something in front of it. Okay, so that'll be one plant. And then our sagey color, I want a little bit more smoky blue. So I'm going to get Ultramarine Blue and my Phthalo, or my Cobalt Teal. Add some Yellow Oxide, and then I have to make that darker, so I'm going to add some burnt sienna, a little bit more of that blue. All right, let's start with that. That's probably not green enough, so let's add just a little bit of Phthalo green. Okay, so I basically used all three of those in Phthalo green, or in burnt sienna and Yellow Oxide in this. So this is that lavender. My aunt says she showed me her lavender bush in the front. Just, it loves the desert, and oh my gosh, it was huge. She was like, I keep having to cut it back, and it loves being cut back. It just keeps getting thicker every time I cut it back. It just goes like, bring it.
It was like a 3-foot ball.
Yeah, it was. It was huge.
It had flowers on it. Bees were all
Oh my
over it.
gosh, flowers everywhere.
Yeah.
This one back here in this picture, it wasn't flowering yet, but you can see it had started to. It had some buds, so I'm going to add flowers to it here. I'm kind of trying to tap in some vertical, like, tappy things so that it looks like that lavender. Trying to leave also like a little bit of a dark area here toward the bottom. Okay, and then kind of where it's coming out, it's sort of sweeping out up towards us, so there's like kind of little leggy things coming out side to side. Tapping out these shapes there. Okay, so probably not going to do a ton more detail on that. I mean, it's already got kind of a feel. I might add some lighter color, and then we'll add some purple to it, but get the feel for it. Adding a little bit of white to my brush so I can get some highlighted areas. It's mixing with the color that's already on here, so it's just a nice light sage blue green. I might add a little bit more green to this. I feel like it might be a little bit blue, but right, so there. And then let's add, we'll still add some details to this one, but just gonna let it dry. Let's add our yellow bush over here, and this one had like magenta and burnt sienna, kind of like a reddish stems in the middle. So I'm gonna just make a dark, maybe a little bit of black, like a dark magenta burgundy color. Do my lines with that. Coming up. Just a little bit of it in the center. I was thinking it might be fun to have a bird sitting on here too, or like a roadrunner on here, but I don't know if we'll have time for it today, but I think that'd be a fun addition. I'm going to get that green gold and add some white to it so that it's not transparent anymore. And then I added some yellow too. So get some green gold and some some phthalo green. And I'm going to add some of this to it. There we go. That'll knock it down to a more normal color. And I'm going to just tap. Lots of tappy taps. I thought I might do this with my with this brush, but I'm just kind of ended up using my other brush, painting them in. But you can use this brush and kind of speed this up a little bit. You might get it not have as much detail to the leaves, but get a similar look. I'm using some of that orange to help fill in some of these areas towards the bottom and center. And she had some fun little garden things too, but I decided to just try to simplify this. But you could add all kinds of little, you know, fun little garden things in here, however much you wanted to do. Okay, and then I'm going to add my little leaves. My white and this light green gold. Kind of sprayed out, you know, from the center of the flower or the center of the bush. So it's kind of everything kind of sprayed out on either side towards the outside. So do the far ones first. That way you can kind of get the feel for the shape, overall shape. And then to fill in the inner ones, I'm just going to kind of pick a few little spaces and kind of maybe do a few that are sort of coming up and filling in between. But then the ones that are kind of in the middle are actually kind of coming out towards us and maybe even coming down. So those ones we can kind of do to the side and sort of flopping over about halfway up. So the upper half are all kind of going up and out, and then about the halfway mark they sort of come sort of down, start to curve down. Okay. You're just going to pay attention to the way the plants are growing. You can kind of figure it out. There we go. Okay, and then this one over here, I don't know why I'm still holding that. This one over here is kind of a combo of these two, so I'm going to use the blue from this and the yellow from that one. And do these leafy bits that are kind of coming off. They're a little bit bigger than the other plants and more rounded shapes. I really like Nancy's garden. It's really pretty. She's got all kinds of different layers of plants and different colors, so they really interact really nicely together. It's really pretty color. She's got a good eye for color and texture. They had a big, huge palm tree right here that's kind of just outside the thing, and they started it from, it had started from seed in there, planted itself, you know, from seed, and it was huge. It was funny. Just grown itself, and they transplanted it over to where they wanted it, and just doing, it was loving life. Okay, adding a little bit of this color over here, just in some places. I'm going to shape this one out. This one looks a little bit more flat, so I'm probably going to have to add some dark back in or something to help shape it out. And then there was also some tall, spiky flowers that I'll probably want to add, but let's go ahead and add some lavender here and add our pink on top of this. Is dry now, so we can add our pink glaze on top of that. So I'm going to use my magenta and some glaze. Use water if you want to. I'm just going to go on top of that, and it should show through the white areas that we've painted. Okay, and then I'm going to get a little bit more of that, a little heavier. Come back in and dab in some darker bits. And then I can get some white. Just add a few petals here and there, kind of around the sides with that. You can see they're kind of more muted than the light areas of the flowers there. Let me get a little bit more of that darker color, some more concentrated here. Dab in a few little spots of brighter magenta. Okay, and then the tall spiky flowers also were kind of this color, so I'm going to add some white to it to make them show up. I think I want them kind of in this area, so I'm going to kind of put them in through here. Kind of coming across. Maybe a couple over here. And these are just dabbing little dots of pink here and there. Maybe put one or two over here too. All right, that's enough. I need to cut myself off because I will keep adding more and more. She had some really pretty yellow, like daisy type flowers in another area too, so you could probably do some like low growing ones with like some, you know, creeping vines with some other colored flowers, you know, depending on how much flowery stuff you want to add to yours. I'm going to go ahead and add my violet lavenders here, blue, magenta, ultramarine blue, magenta, and white. And just add a few. We don't have to overwhelm it with a lot of them. Again, that phthalo green, add a little bit of magenta and ultramarine blue there. And just gonna come back in here and this, and just add a little, almost glazing the darker greens in over that plant a little bit. You can do it to any of these that need it. This one would need more blue if we want to do that. Put in some darker bits. Just so it's not so light all over. Okay. And then I need stems for these flowers here, so I'm just going to kind of use this dark color. And they also had some little tiny leaves, like long thin leaves, but I'm not sure they're going to show up very much. Yeah, they're like 3 little leaves coming out. Get some white. Just trying to give these plants a little bit of detail. Just kind of not being super careful with those leaves, but get the idea. All right. And I'm going to come back in with my magenta, darker. And just dab in a little bit of darker magenta in a couple places. Magenta fuchsia is one of the hardest colors to paint just because it's so fluorescent and you just can't get that. Nature is so much more vivid on this color than I find this one of the hardest paint colors in painting to capture properly. Just doesn't have the same luminosity as you get in real life, but do the best we can here. Get a little bit of this and highlight a little bit of our geraniums. It's nice that this has this color down here too. You can pull same color in. I'm just adding little dabs of lighter color. Lighter, darker, back and forth until you kind of get the right balance. But you kind of really want like 3 values with a lot of the plants. So we started with the dark value, we added a mid-tone, and then the lightest tone, and same thing with these flowers. If you have at least 3 values, they kind of have more realism, look more rounded out, you know, have more form. Okay, I think we're just about done here. Pretty happy with that. I do think it'd be cute to have like a little bird perched up here somewhere. Might be able to fit one right at the back of that. What time is it? I got 10 minutes to do a little bird. I think I could do it. What kind of bird? What color?
Well, if it's Arizona, it's going to be cardinal.
Oh, okay.
Well, then I guess that's their football team, right? Oh, because they got relocated. I
don't know if it's still the Cardinals. Well, they have Roadrunners, I know.
Yeah.
I was going to do a Roadrunner maybe.
They did have Cardinals. You had hummingbirds.
Oh yeah, hummingbirds. Those are too small. You could do like a little, I was just thinking this kind of looks a little empty. There's a lot going on here. Like, you know, just a lot of empty space there. So if you wanted to, you could do a hanging basket or something over here. I think I'm going to end for today though. Or a bird, like a birdhouse here would be cute. Like a little birdhouse against the fence and a little bird sitting on it or something like that. But yeah, I think that's fun.
Or like the barrel of a tank coming in. Right
just the
top.
tip.
Yeah, just the tank barrel
just
right
the
there.
top of it. I like it. Right, really fun. I hope you guys try this one. It's really, really fun. Oh, you could just do some vines coming down. That would work. Maybe just do
Somebody suggested like a sign that says welcome, or
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
or you could do it when you do it. You could put like your family name on there,
Right.
established.
Oh, yeah, a little sign. Just make sure you put a little shadow around it, if you do that, just like we did over here. Just get yourself a little shadow. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm just going to leave it, and you guys can share with me what you came up with for that spot. I really want to see your ideas, and
Go with the
if you
tank.
paint it, you can share it with me on my social medias. All the links down in the description to do that, and also where to buy different stuff and how to connect with me on Patreon and social media and all that good stuff. So I'm going to sign this and say thank you guys so much for watching with us tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks to my Aunt Nancy for providing the beautiful inspiration for this one. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, I got to paint that. There's just certain things where you see it and you just know. When you know, you know. This was one of them. All right. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for hanging out with us. We will be back next Tuesday. If you're part of my Patreon crew, you can join me for our new challenge tutorial this Thursday. We're going to be starting on a new one. This was a 5-part series, so we usually do about five or 6 weeks, depending on how difficult the tutorial is, how difficult the image is. But we're going to be painting a seascape with a beach shack. And if you want to see that one, you can look on my socials to see, the image that we're going to be using. It's on my schedule. So, all right. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time. Bye.